Chapter 1. Inspiration. It was a cool, dark July morning in 2019. I was driving west down US Highway 50, just northeast of Wichita, Kansas. I had been driving for at least an hour at that point, with no exact idea of how much longer was left to go. The trip was a gamble, with no guarantee of finding what I was looking for. Focusing my eyes, I stared intently at the shoulder of the road as the world around flew by at 60 miles an hour. There. A man dressed in all white was walking down the left side of the road. Behind him was another man, dressed far more casually. I pulled into the nearest side road, locked my car, and started walking toward them. Neither of the men were talking as I crossed the street to join. I was expecting this. I walked up, reached out, and shook both their hands before joining the pair. We continued to walk in silence until the man in white turned off onto a side road where an RV was waiting for him. I had officially joined singer and songwriter Mike Posner's Walk Across America, although I would only be around for a small leg of it. Posner had a rigid schedule when it came to his walk. That's why we were walking in silence that morning. He chose to do his first 8 miles in complete silence every day. At the RV, he would take his first break of the day, stretching his body and massaging his feet. The whole concept of walking across the country was completely foreign to me before I heard Posner announce his walk. Of course, I had seen Forrest Gump at some point in time, but I can't say the running scenes were anything that stuck around in my head. Now outside the RV, the three of us started conversing. As for the man behind me, he had also heard about the walk and met up with Mike in Emporia, Kansas, his hometown. Having the name recognition that he does, thanks to a couple of hit songs and numerous writing credits, Posner had quite a few guest walkers along the entire way. I went ahead and introduced myself to the two of them, as well as Mike's walk manager. These few days spent with Mike were the beginning of a major shift in my life. Growing up, I had always felt like I could only define myself by a single thing at a time. My personality can get pretty obsessive. When I devote myself to something, I go all in. For years, I had defined myself as a filmmaker, hesitant to stray outside of those lines. Watching Mike temporarily step away from the world of songwriting and performance to walk across the country gave me an entirely new perspective. Why box myself into the definition of filmmaker when I could define myself in broader terms, allowing for an expansion of experiences? After all, a lot of experiences are art in their own way, or at least they contribute to art. The walk strayed far outside of the labels I would normally define myself by, but still created a story to be told through my art. In this case, I chose to share my story through a medium outside of the usual for me. I wanted to try writing. There's quite a few books out there written by those who have walked across the country. In fact, some were written by those who have walked across America multiple times. So, why am I writing my story? Walking across America isn't the most unique feat in itself. It's been done many times by all kinds of people. I'm not telling my story to brag or try and sell you the idea that I did something incredible. The journey was difficult, but I do believe that anyone health willing can experience this. It's more about mental grit than anything. All you need is the sheer determination to make it across. What I want to do by sharing my story is bring my personal experiences to light, as no cross-country trek will be exactly like another's. I see this as, firstly, a way to objectively document what happened along the way. I want documentation of this trip that I can come back to at any point, as well as share with others throughout my lifetime. Maybe I'll have kids that'll want to read it one day. Secondly, documentation of what went on inside my head. After all, nearly any cross-country trekker would agree that it's more so a mental than physical challenge. Especially doing this during such formative years in my life, I want to encapsulate the growth-filled moments and challenges that occurred along the way exactly as I experienced them at the time. This account is what 21-year-old me experienced. With age, I'm sure the way that I interpret specific memories or life lessons will naturally change.